Steve Golin. I haven't forgotten. Okay, let's read what it says. This is the lawsuit. It was filed on March 11, 2014. That's the when production was supposed to start, right? Hold on. Like, production was supposed to start in March 2014. So immediately after maybe production started or around that time, this was filed. And it says right there, the complaint is for breach of contract, breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, unjust enrichment, breach of implied in-law quasi-contract, and quantum merit. Notice it says over Operations Incorporated and Steve Golin plaintiff versus Lakeshore Entertainment Group LLC and those 1 through 20 inclusive are the defendants. I want to know who the freaking those 1 through 20 inclusive are. My gosh, how can I find out? Are you there, Reynolds? Like, are you there? I don't know. So look at what it says, nature of action, general allegations. There is no polite way to put it. Lakeshore tried to pull a fast one to avoid honoring its obligations to prominent film, television, and commercial producer Golin in connection with the upcoming film Adeline, featuring Harrison Ford, Ellen Burstyn, and Blake Lively. Golin, through his loan company, Overt, commissioned for the payment the film's screenplay in 2003, and then paid for several additional drafts over the succeeding years. Golin was so intimately involved that the film was originally called the Untitled Steve Golin Project. For the next decade, Golin, through Overt, worked to bring his project to the screen. When Overt production companies eventually became involved, one thing was clear. Golin was, in Hollywood parlance, permanently attached to the film in the manner standard for persons of his experience, reputation, and stature in the motion picture industry. That is, absent serious misconduct, he was permanently attached during development, production, and beyond, with an inalienable right to his fixed and contingent compensation and credit for himself, his colleagues, and his companies. The first outside production company to join the Adeline project was SKE Productions LLC, SKE. In 2009, Golin and SKE's president, Jim Tauber, negotiated the terms, including the terms in Golin's involvement as producer of the film, which were intended to be memorialized in a written producer loan agreement, the loan agreement, between SKE and Overt, acting as Golin's loan-out company. Golin and Tauber agreed then, and agree now, that there are two companies intended for Golin to be attached to Adeline during all phases of the film development and production. Tauber and Golin also agreed that SKE and Overt would, in effect, be partners on the project, and that for that reason, Golin agreed, contrary to typical practice, that Overt would not be reimbursed for the development costs as it had previously paid. So basically, because he was going to be attached to this, then he was like, okay, you don't need to reimburse me for this. With Golin's approval, the following year, SKE assigned to defendant Lakeshore certain of its Adeline rights and obligations, including its producer loan agreement with Overt. Before that occurred, SKE's Tauber personally explained to Lakeshore CEO Thomas Rosenberg that Golin was attached. Consequently, before Lakeshore joining the Adeline project, they agreed to the assignment of the producer loan agreement, it understood and accepted that Golin was attached to the Adeline project and could only be removed for serious misconduct. So Lakeshore then regularly traded on Golin's reputation in the movie business by issuing press releases and otherwise communicating his involvement as the film's producer in ways intended to and understood to communicate that Golin was attached to the project. Similarly, for the next 3 For the past 3 years, Lakeshore treated Golin as an attached producer, and Golin acted like one, providing significant services to the project, lending his reputation, and devoting his own time as well as overstaffed resources and funds. During that period, the project transitioned from the development to the production state, and Lakeshore elected to engage Golin's services as a producer by, among other things, charging him with the responsibility for convincing Lee Krieger to direct the film. Mr. Krieger is a client of the management company Anonymous Content. It was only as a result of Golin's role as CEO of that company that it was possible to obtain Mr. Krieger's agreement to serve as director. Golin's status as an attached producer was also reflected in the various budgets prepared by Lakeshore for the production of Adeline, which demonstrate Lakeshore's recognition of Golin's attached status. 3 years later, just as it appeared that the development and production efforts of Golin, Tauber, and others had finally brought the project close to fruition, Rosenberg informed Tauber that he intended to fire Golin based on Section 7 of the loan and agreement, which Rosenberg wrongly asserted permitted Lakeshore to terminate Golin from Adeline without cause and without payment or credit. Just as Tauber had told Rosenberg before the loan and agreement was signed to Lakeshore, he again told Rosenberg that under SKE's deal with Obert, Golin was permanently attached for the life of the project. What the heck? Oh my gosh, wait. Oh gosh, look at this. Nonetheless, in blatant disregard of the actual terms of Golin's engagement on the project, on October 16, 2013, Lakeshore's head of business affairs sent Golin an email titled Steve Golin Termination. That email told Golin he was fired from Adeline and would get no money, no credit, no back end, etc. That's the same day that freaking Blake Lively was announced to join the cast. Watch. Guys, that is October 16, 2013. That's the day before Blake Lively was announced, guys, as set to star. Is this part of the negotiations? What the freak happened? Oh, by the way, Katherine Heigl was attached to this project at some point. I don't know why they didn't go with her, honestly. Oh my gosh. Is it a coincidence? I'm looking into it. I was wrong. Actually, I found articles on Deadline where the same day, like the October 16th, was whenever like it was announced that Lively was attached to the movie. Same day. You can see right there, October 16, 2013 on Deadline. Okay, two coincidences related to Lively. Principal photography was done in Vancouver because it's cheaper, whatever. What if the Reynoldses were like, oh, we'll get you a deal? Because who is like major in Vancouver? What connections in Vancouver, like with the police and everything? Who? Pray tell? Ryan Reynolds. Like, and his friend, what was his name? Constable, you know, the one from the Rick Fedek kerfuffle. Okay? Montag. Crazy coincidences, okay? So, principal photography is in Vancouver. Then Rob Simonsen is like composer on this movie. Like, why Vancouver? Because Ryan has buddies over there, like Constable Montag, and like maybe he can get like deals or whatever cheaper. Is that part of the negotiations? Like he can get funding, government, he knows how to do things. I don't know, but what a coincidence. What a coincidence. The same day that she gets announced into this freaking thing, same day as, you know, Steve is like fired. Not only that, there is an article where she's announced to be in Vancouver on set on March 11th, same date as the lawsuit is filed.